Hello and
Well, hi
welcome
there.
aboard the Tabletop Express. My name is Chris Barrows.
I
That is
am
Anthony.
the other guy, Anthony.
He's more than the other guy. You're one of the three
One of the
folks.
other guys.
Yeah. The other guy is not here
The
tonight.
other guy is sick.
The other guy is under the weather. He might be in the chat tonight at some point, but we're
Under
here
the
to hold.
weather, in the chat, over the bridge, and adjacent to. Oh, and there he is. Look
Yeah.
at
Wow.
that. On command.
Yeah. No, this is a an equal trifecta. So we're all the other guy at some point, you know. Well, welcome everybody. This is Call Aboard. We're back with Call Aboard. Again, I've had a few of these this month. Normally 2 a
Again.
month. We've got 3 this month, which is awesome. And we are wrapping up the month the way we actually started the month, because we started the month by wrapping up April. We're here today to wrap up May. So, and what do we mean by that? So, Call Aboard is the live call-in show where we got our topics. End of the month, the topic is simple. What did you play this past month? What was on your table? This is always a good month for me, just for usually speaking, because it's my birthday month. So I usually get at least one really good day or two in. It's almost a guarantee. So I did get some fun stuff in. We, Anthony, also had our traveling boards pop-up cafe this month, and I know we're going to talk a little bit about a series of games here today. And as a fun surprise, we talked about it. I think we're going to drop some impromptu rankings from that series here tonight.
Okay.
So why not have some fun? But we do want to hear from you. Call-aboard.com is the number that you can use. It's not a number, really. But call-aboard.com is what you can type into your browser. Join us on the back end, and we will pull you up on the video and talk about the games you played this past month. Anyone can call in and be part of the show. We do ask, of course, if you can. Makes our lives easier if you're part of the Discord. So I'm happy to drop a Discord link in just a few moments. It just lets us verify your humanity, because it's a world of bots and chat GPT and many other things, right? So we got to be careful with all these things. But with that was a very quick response. We got someone here ready to share some games.
Oh, it's a bot. I can tell by the mustache.
Behind the mustache, there's a bot. Yeah, let's bring him on. We got to call it. We got Marcel calling in. We're going to bring Marcel in right now. What's going on, man?
Hey, guys. How we doing?
What's up? You were part of that epic gaming marathon of sorts for the birthday.
Yeah, that was
over here, so
that was
I'm
quite
sure
a bit of
that's
games
on
that
your list
weekend.
somewhere.
We played.
Yeah, I'm gonna go.
We played a lot of games that weekend. Yeah, Marcel, I had a chance to play quite a bit with Marcel. So I'm intrigued what is on your list this month, Marcel, just because I know you've played some games beyond that weekend. So I'm interested what, kind of comes to the top for you.
So I'm gonna go with one that everyone on the screen right now played, and it's gonna be Wonderland's War.
Oh, Wonderland's War. Yeah, let's bring that up.
Yeah.
That was good.
Yeah, Wonderland's War. Bring the screen up here. Doesn't help when there's nothing on the screen and Marcel disappears and I have to add him back in. There we go.
See, Espen, when you're not here, it all goes to hell.
No, this is what I get for trying the new cool features that don't do a great job. I love you, StreamYard, but you don't do a great job of adding the other people in who call in. I can only preset so many things here. So that's why
we're too sophisticated for StreamYard with this whole call-in.
Yeah, it's not prepared for the call-ins, clearly. Marcel, let's talk about Wonderland's War a little bit. What stood out to you about this one?
First off, I mean, the quality of this game is just fantastic. You have the deluxe version, I believe, is what we had played.
Yes.
A shame to say, it's been on my shelf of shame since it received it as a Kickstarter. So definitely need to get it on the table here with some people that I know will like to play it. But I like how it's basically it seems like a daunting game, but it's really, really not at its core. You've got the tea party where you go around and you start to set up your moves, set up your people, and then you have basically the wars in each location where you have a little bit of element of luck and push your luck to it. So you try to set yourself up as well as you can with strength and forces in the area. And then you pull from your bag. And if you get that madness chip, you lose some of your people. And if you lose all your people, you're done. You can choose to stop and forfeit the match, but you still get some perks for it. So overall, it seems like a massive game, but at its heart, it's actually relatively simple to pick up.
It's
is
a massive
interesting.
game, kind of literally, right? It does take up a lot of space. The setup is not super easy.
It's interesting though. I have to tell you, I set this game up again after just as a test run. It took me probably half the amount of time to set up, and putting away is incredibly easy on this game. Like they really streamlined it very well. It is a game that we played previously, right? And we enjoyed, Anthony.
Yeah,
From
well, it
my
had been a while, but yes, we did.
Wh-
We did enjoy it. We played it on stream, actually.
yeah, but we needed that kind of reminder of a few things. But once you pick it up, it moves. You're right. And I Ryan's asking how long our session was.
It must have been like 2 hours just because we had a little bit of learning in that first go round.
Yeah, sounds about right.
Yeah,
but I can see this being like an hour, 15 hour and a half at most.
When you know what you're doing, that's the problem. Because
Yeah.
when we played and with 3 people, you could do this, I think, in that time frame. When you add that 4th person in, I argue it probably is a 2-hour game again. But that said, it can move pretty quickly if everyone at the table knows the game. Because Ryan's right. It was over 3 hours for us when we did it the first time. So
Yeah,
we
probably.
had some familiarity, which sped that up for us. So I do feel like this could be a lot quicker than really anyone's first time, no matter what.
And I feel like in general, the second part, the actual like fighting part, kind of goes faster too as the game goes on, because you're just kind of pulling the chips. Not everyone is always involved at each spot, and as opposed to the tea party phase where you're kind of shopping around and looking at where you want to kind of like grab your resources from, or what cards you want to take or avoid. Maybe in my opinion, tends to take a little longer. But this is definitely a game that does get longer with more players for sure.
But I will say, even if it's a longer game, it didn't feel long to me when we were playing it.
I agree. And I remember saying the same thing the first time we played it. 100%.
And honestly, with this game, I think it would probably play better with 4, because now you're going to have a lot more battle going on. Where with 3, we were spread out. And once you saw like, I pretty much had that one corner covered, and then Barrows had the other corner covered. And then it was just small battles going on in the lower 3 ones.
That's where time can get added slightly, just because you do have a bit more intensity in the battles themselves, but it's worth it. It's totally worth it. I think that's the trade-off. If I had
you never know when that chaos is going to happen.
Yeah, but add a half hour of time for more of that chaos, I'm down, and I enjoy it. I think Ryan's comment when we played the first time was, if I remember correctly, it could be 2 rounds, but in playing it a second time, I can now confidently say there's a reason it's 3 rounds. And that stands out. And I do think, though, if you have a first-time player to it, just anticipate slightly longer. But it's a game I want to have hit the table again sooner rather than later, for all the reasons I just said. It was a blast. This is a game, by the way, that's been sitting in my top 35 off of one play. Like, it was that strong of an impression. So to have it hit the table again was a big deal for me.
I was the Cheshire Cat.
Yeah, and I was the queen. The queen of
I played as the Jabberwock this time, which allowed me to put poison chips on some of the cards in the Tea Party phase. So, I would strategically...
Yes, you got one right there on the
look
screen.
At, oh, this is a pretty good card, and maybe put poison on that. And then if I take him, it's not a big deal. It doesn't go into my bag. But everybody else, if they take it, it goes into their bag and it counts as another bad chip during their pull. So I definitely would. So the first time I played as Alice and I won. And so I would like to play again, obviously in general, but I would consider actually playing the Jabberwock again because I feel like there was a balance I could have found there with the distribution of those poison and strategically where I went area wise. Because there's a lot of layers to this game, and it really depends on the characters that are in play as well. Because Barrows, you kept what the queen kept like adding basically forces, right? Like very easily to different spots.
Yeah, it's very easy. It was very easy for me to get more forces out.
And I think you actually forced us away too in a couple.
Mm-hmm. And that's why I was in play at the end of the game, even though I didn't develop as much with the kind of my board itself. I didn't get some of my other stuff out, but I was still able to get a lot done, and it kept me very much in it. I would play I would play a much different game my next go around. I wouldn't say much, but I would blend a few strategies in my head. So it's a game I'd like to play with more characters for sure. I think they've got a lot of good ones in here. So yeah, Wonderland's War, by the way, just for everyone who might be wondering, is designed by Tim Eisner, Ben Eisner, Ian Moss, and published by Druid City Games. Looking at it as an 8.1 here on BGG, but I love the box cover. I just want to point this out. This giant.
All of the art in that game is fantastic.
Oh yeah, yeah. There's a storybook that comes with it too, which I was actually reading the other day. Like they added a entire story of what's happening in this. So if anyone's interested, that comes with the deluxe copy. I don't know if it comes with the regular, but it comes with the deluxe, which some people might not care about. But I figured, why not? I'll give it a read. So, but that's Wonderland's War. Anything else on your mind tonight, Marcel?
I'm going to stick with games that we played that weekend. And I think you've discussed this before, Barrows, on the channel. But we've been playing a lot more of it. And I'm pretty sure it's going to make an appearance in your top 20 for next year. And that is going to be Pagan. Fate of Roanoke.
What you're talking about. Pagan. Fate of Roanoke. Yeah. We played this a bunch. And this is a game, by the way. And this is with the boards that come. We were playing, I want people to know, with the playmat. So the playmat is nice. I personally like having it, but the board itself that they give you is not bad. These people did some updating, by the way, because it does not come with potions looking like that. Like this is
that's like the super upgraded kit. That's gonna be an Etsy kit or something.
That's an Etsy kit. This is more an accurate look and feel. Talk to me about Pagan, because we played Pagan. We both have enjoyed this game, but there's a different feel to this one. I feel like when we were able to start doing some of that deck building and start to work some of the new stuff in, it could start to feel very samey if I just did the base game probably over and over to some extent, though still fun. But those extra cards that they've started to add in over the past few months here in the States they're important as far as I'm concerned.
So, I mean, like you said, we played one base game in person, and then we did one of the expansions decks in person as well. And those two ones they're basically adding different witch and hunter cards. There's another one that adds all new center people. So you can swap out the center people with different abilities to really keep the game fresh. And then there was a third one or a fourth one set of cards, and I forget what that one had. I think that was more witch and hunter ones as well. And then it also just came out with the expansion, which adds a whole new aspect of Gloom, which I haven't even had a chance to dive into and look at yet.
Oh, yeah.
I got that one in the other day.
You are talking about, if I am not mistaken, Beyond the Palisades.
Correct.
Which, again, this game was produced and it was not in the States for a while. So the reason you see some other dates on here, that's why. But the Gloom that they're talking about is these these tokens here.
Yeah. So I haven't quite gotten to that part on it yet. But I mean, just the the base game with the setup and all of that, without taking into account the Palisades expansion, they have enough there with the cards that you really have the good 2-player async going on. They each have their own strengths, weaknesses. I mean, there were some cards that you were playing as the hunter that was just absolutely hamstringing me. Like I had to go like certain ones, and then as the witch, you can make it so the hunter has to go to a certain location, and then you can combo that with another card that makes it so they can only go next to that location. So there's definitely ways to hinder and tug of war it. And then there's also that little bit amount of deception in there too. It's like, all right, is that witch putting a lot of secrets over on this guy because that's the witch, or are they just trying to get me to eliminate somebody and get one step closer to losing? Because if you eliminate 3 of the wrong people, you lose.
Yeah. It's neat. And if you look at the way this play mat that they have set up is, which is the other play mat, because I have
the one I got.
This is one that you got. I have the other one. And if you look all the way to the right on this one, you've got these hindrances that the witch is putting out that make the hunter's life hell. They really want to get rid of those, but to get rid of those, they have to spend really valuable resources. So is it worth doing? Is it worth spending an entire move that you need to do other things to get rid of them? Sometimes it is. Also, like you said, the deception part. I do want to deceive you if I'm the witch on who I want to be able to do that ceremony with, because if you do eliminate the 3, yes, I win, but also I need to keep you on your toes, because if I'm super obvious, I'm going to get busted quickly and the game's going to be over way too quick. So you have to kind of play it. You have to play it really strategically, especially because here's the other thing. And Anthony, I know you haven't had a chance to play this yet, but if you're the hunter in this game, you have to have one of these pieces that you're seeing on the, where are we looking at here? It's different because the display mat is set up different, but you have to have one of the pieces in terms of the feet that you see here.
Upper left.
Yeah. All the way across the board. We have to have one each in each spot to be able to even do an investigation into someone. So once you've made the choice to do it and you end up wiping,
you also have to have 3 on this person you're investigating.
Yeah, but you have to have 1 on everyone.
Yep.
So you could screw yourself for multiple turns in the future if you pick the wrong person.
That's how I lost.
It's so great, the moments that come in this game. And there's a lot of different cards. There are also scenarios which we didn't really play with, to be fair.
Yeah, I want to do those too.
But the scenarios exist that can change gameplay a little bit, make things play a little bit differently. There's one where like 2 secrets is enough to do the ceremony. So or to convert. So there's a lot of different stuff. If you haven't had a chance to play this, it's on Board Game Arena, but please play it in real time for your first play, in my opinion, and get an understanding, because you can play this game asynchronously, I think semi-effectively, but you better know the rules and you better keep track of what you're doing. So I wouldn't have too many games running where you've got to remember stuff, because you're gonna not have a good time probably, and you're not gonna, I think, enjoy the game the way it deserves to be. So,
and I think on BGA right now they have the first 2 scenarios, if I'm correct, as an option.
Yeah, so it's nice that they have the scenarios, but I can't wait for more of that stuff, because there are so many more. There's more different villagers with different actions. So yeah, this was fun. I was so glad we played this one in person. And again, that is Pagan Fate of Roanoke. You did mention already the one expansion released recently, which is, as I noted, Beyond the Palisades, and it does add that new piece, Gloom, which we don't know much about because we haven't got a chance to play with it. I have mine on pre-order and waiting for some other stuff to go, and I know you already have a copy in hand, and I'm pretty sure you already sleeved yours, so you're ready to go.
Yep.
So you're ready. But yeah, it's a good one. 2-player game. It's best at 2 for a reason on here. So definitely recommend people check this one out.
All right. And then I'm just going to throw one last quick one at you.
Throw one in.
Quattro.
Okay, yeah.
Again, another 2-player, abstract 1. It's basically connect 4, but
That's
you got to connect 4 of a feature.
Mhm.
So there's dark and light pieces. Once he pulls it up, you'll see it a lot more clearer.
Which is the spelling of this one? Is it 2 T's?
Maybe. Hold on.
Because 2006 one, it wasn't.
QUARTO.
QUART.
No, that's not Quattro.
There it is.
There's Quattro. Here's a good look at it. I mean, this is
nice.
it in a nutshell.
Super quick, easy
okay,
game. And the fun part about this is you will pick a part or a piece, and then the opponent has to play it. And then they pick one, and you got to play it. And you want to try and set it up so like you can score all 4 lights in a row, all 4 darks in a row, all 4 circles, all 4 talls, all 4 solid, all 4 hollow, etc. So it really plays real quick. It's for the game itself. One, I think it's overpriced for what it is, but the quality of the parts is what's driving that cost.
Yeah, you're paying for that wood.
Yeah. So fantastic, fun little quick game. I think we banged out like 10 of them.
Wow.
Yeah, we played this a lot, and it is fun. I agree with what you said. I would not pay, I couldn't justify paying full price for this at this time. But it's one I would like to eventually own.
I got one of those Dan specials on it. I got it for $5 during the Granite State Summit auction. New and shrink. I was like, done. Let's go.
Wow. What does it normally sell for?
I think it's like $30 at Barnes and Nobles or something like that right now.
Yeah, I don't know. It's definitely one I would like to have in the collection. It's a game that wouldn't go anywhere. But it's been around a while. It's 1991 is the
Yeah.
RPG. So
it's a nice conversation piece too. It's almost like a decoration.
Yeah, it looks like it's a game too. You could put on the table, explain to someone quickly enough, and then play a few games through. It doesn't take. It's not a long teach, so which is nice. I like that. But no, good one. And I thank you, and I thank Marcel for being a part of that birthday weekend. It was great. It's always a ton of fun, and last year was a bigger one for me because last year was a big birthday. But this year, I like the more chill. And chill meant a lot of 2-player games, it's fair to say. So there was a bunch of those, one which I will probably talk about shortly as well. So
I didn't know we could talk about that one. Okay.
It's a review copy. I'm going to talk about it.
All right, perfect.
All right. Thank you, Marcel.
Later, gents.
Adios.
Awesome. Yeah, we there's one I do want to it is a good lead in, and I want to make sure that I properly share this one. I don't even know if there's photos of this.
Whoa.
Because there's plenty. This is great. Okay, cool. So I want to talk about a game called Line of Fire Burnt Moon. Now, full review of this piece at some point to come after I get to play with Ryan. But I do feel it's important to talk about this because I had a chance to play it. And I honestly was incredibly excited about this for multiple reasons. Now, let me first introduce why I was excited about this. Now, if you look at this, actually, let me just start by doing this. Designers, Trevor Benjamin, David Thompson. So, okay, step one, we had a chance to get this, and I saw Trevor Benjamin, David Thompson did, we need to play this. I have to have an opportunity to get this on the table. Osprey Games provided us this copy, and so this was a copy that was one that we were going to cover at some point, so why not talk about it tonight? Now, you've all heard me talk at some point about another game I like, which is Radlands, which is a lane battler. It's a ton of fun. I like it. The art in that game is great thematically. You are just trying to destroy each other's bases. Lane battler, cool. You've also heard me talk about Undaunted. You've heard Ryan talk about Undaunted. This game is in the Undaunted 2200 Callisto universe. So it lives in the Undaunted universe. Let me tell you the vibe I get from this. It was an Undaunted / Radlands hybrid, and I'm here for it. And I'll have a lot more full conversation. I'm going to get another game that I want to play multiple times. I want to play, obviously, with Ryan. But much like Undaunted, you have cards in this game that have different abilities. I mean, look at all these cards. Let's see. A lot of these are going to be promotional. So, you have cards that have these different abilities, and they are categorized. You can only have one type of each card in this game in any particular row, and you are going to have a chance to win by controlling enough base points. You can also win by destroying enough of the other players' units. But in this game, if you've got A's and A cards in one row, you can't have B cards in that row. So that's a slightly different piece. The other thing is, once you get a card into the row, that's not taking any action. You've just deployed it, essentially. To actually play the actions, you need to use cards that you are going to be able to pull from your hand, and then play them down. Now, the other aspect of this game is, like Undaunted, you have the ability at the start of your turn, and it's not an ability, it's required. You are going to have to play a card down, and that is going to determine who has control and gets to go first. Everyone being the two players has to pick one, and then whoever has the higher number is going to win. Now, in this game, when you do multiple actions, you're also getting cards that you don't want, which essentially are the equivalent of Fog of War in Undaunted. So you've built a lane battler on the Undaunted system, which is a really cool system with some other little tweaks. Like I said, A's got to be in an A row, but you've got to potentially be taking over some of these places or knocking people out. And the way that the kind of power aspect works is really cool too, because if you have a control, you might have an extra attack or you might have an extra defense, depending on which one of those places you are in. I'm wondering in here if there's any better visuals, because unfortunately, again, being a game that is not out yet, it's hard to see, but this is a good enough example. You see these locations here, so you can get a sense of some of the info that's in them. In terms of how many victory points there were, how much defense there were, so ultimately you are going to flip over these for control. But when you do flip one over for control, if your opponent controls it, you're only flipping it back to neutral. You don't take control of it. So it's not a matter of control or control. There can be a neutral status on them. Gameplay was not long. I would say the game probably took, once we got going, 30 minutes or so. Marcel can kind of confirm on that one for me if that sounds accurate. But yeah, it is a kind of combo hybrid for me of Radlands and the Undaunted universe, and it was a win. And I'll tell you right now, if you told me, and I don't think the two compare completely because they are different. Radlands, you're trying to destroy bases, and it is different in that sense. But if you told me I want to play a lane battler in my collection right now, and this is sitting on my shelf, I will pick this over Radlands. And I say that knowing that I really do love Radlands. Marcel, by the way, saying 30 minutes of play, 10 of learn, 5 minutes of, oh, we did that wrong.
Yeah, that will happen.
Yeah. So yeah, that was Line of Fire Burnt Moon. I want to come back with a full review on this one, but I wanted to kind of just give people a preview because we've talked about this was coming on the Discord and I was excited and it met my expectations. It's what my final score on this will be. It will be a good score. I can promise people that right now, but how good of a score, people can wait to find out, because I do want to play it with Ryan and I want to play more games of it for sure. But immediate win for me when you put me in this universe with that vibe.
Yeah, this sounds like a dream combination for you guys for sure. Yeah, right. Yeah, like you're pulling his leg. All right, I'll do it. Yeah.
We review after free. That's fine.
Yeah,
I'm down with that. But yeah, I do want to thank Osprey Games, who did provide a copy of this for us. Again, consider this a little bit of a preview, a little bit of a preview of that.
A preview review.
Yeah, we'll come back with a full conversation on this, and maybe a stream on this one is what I would like to potentially do, and I've told Ryan as much. So because I do think people need to see this game because I think it's pretty damn neat. And if you like Undaunted, I think you're gonna like this game because it feels like it's part of that world to me. And it
Nice.
is, but it feels that way. So yeah, that was Line of Fire Burnt Moon.
Very cool. A little sneak peek there. Well, the first game that I'd like to bring up is something that I've played before, but I played it again, and this was like the play that I've been waiting for this game. And that game is called Cora Quest. Now, if you've never heard of Cora Quest, the Cora in Cora Quest is the daughter of Dan Hughes, who's the designer of this game with Cora. And if you don't know Dan, he's British and he talks funny, but he's a good guy. I'm just kidding. He's a mountain of a man, but man, is he nice and funny. And the story behind this is just fantastic. This basically was like during the COVID lockdown, when all the schools were closed, Dan and Cora doing this kind of like homework project together, designing a board game. And it just sort of like snowballed and got bigger and more refined. And it became an actual thing. And one of the coolest things about it is that all the artwork in the game is done by kids. And on the side, along the sides of the box is everybody's name, all the kids who submitted artwork that made it into the game, whether it was a character or, from characters and monsters all the way down to like rocks and stones and cracks in the tiles and all that stuff, all done by kids. And it's a family dungeon crawler. It's got, all the basics of dungeon crawling, including, some line of sight, so special character abilities and random monsters that kind of pop up. But, it's not too daunting. We'll open the first scenario. I think there's like 10 or 12 actually in the base game. But it's a great little system. Once you get used to the setup, it's really quite simple. And you can even make it a shorter game by just not including all the dungeon tile exploration cards in it. But basically, the way it works is you choose a character, but regardless of how many people are playing, you're going to use 4 characters. So that's one thing to keep in mind. So we played me and my wife and my son, AJ, and then we control the sort of third character. And, they're all start in the same room and you're going to be exploring, and then there's random kind of monsters that pop up, and there's a storyline to it. You can even download the app and Dan can like narrate the storyline to you if you want. You can make your own characters, you can make your own like quests in this game. There's downloadable content. I think there's a few promos. There's an expansion that does add, again, and this is like the kiddie pool of dungeon crawling, or like even Dungeons and Dragons type of stuff, right? Like just kind of dipping your toes in there, using weapons, talking about range versus, close and again, like I said, line of sight, hit points, things like that. The expansion does up it slightly by having the ability to upgrade your characters throughout the campaign, so you don't just start over every time, and you can sort of hold over, items or special things you found from game to game, much like D&D, which is really cool. But yeah, it was a good time. You can make decisions together as not like the best maybe for the young one, like he just wanted to keep exploring every single time. And I'm like, dude, there's 7 monsters over here in these parts. You're gonna unveil some more. He was just obsessed with getting the treasure too. So, but really fun game. Again, like the artwork's really cool. There's little things like goblins and.
Did you play this with the kiddo, or was it someone else? Like, what was that? Did you play this with the kiddo, or were you?
Yes. Me, my wife, and my kid. We all 3 of us played this for the first time. Yeah. So that's why I was excited to get to the table, because, like I said, I had played through a little bit of it before. I had Dan on an interview back when I was doing Board Game Dads, and that was a good time. He was actually my first designer interview, I believe. And yeah, I can't wait to get this again. AJ already asked to play again, so I know he obviously likes it so far, and I'm excited to keep exploring the world of Core Quest. Such a great concept.
I like that. The exploring part is reminding me when I was playing Tariki, which we've talked about.
Yeah.
Which we were provided and again, that was a review copy that we were provided. And that was one that we've spoken about a little bit here on the channel. And I just remember my son just wanted to constantly explore, but then it's like, yeah, but we need this to get to a spot. And that was the holdup, like in that game, obviously. But I understand the exploration part. We want to get through. I want to see more. There's an excitement. So I think people are onto something when they have cooperative exploration games for the family. It works really well. This is one I'd love to play. I have not got a chance to play it. When I initially brought this up, I was showing Core Quest
the expansion up. Yeah.
So there's obviously more stuff, right, that comes with that.
Yeah, it's a little more campaigny, I believe, than like this first set of quests are connected to a degree, but again, like I said, you can kind of like level up your characters in that expansion part.
Awesome. Yeah. I will drop a friendly reminder if anyone is interested in calling in and being part of a show. Call dashaboard.com. Will get you behind the scenes. Dropped a link earlier to the Discord. I'm going to drop that again as well. If you're not part of our Discord, please go ahead and join. Be part of a great community, and we love to have you there. And again, it helps us to let you know when we have episodes of Call Aboard coming up. I wanted to mention one, Anthony. I had two options for this, but I'm going to go with one that you have not played yet from my awareness. But it was on Ryan's list. And now I can't spell it. Where is Numster? There it is. There you are. There's Numsters. Numsters is a game I had a chance to play. Now, Numsters was on my list last week when we talked about the games from our top 20 series that we hadn't played that we want to play. I had a chance to play this. I was really grateful. I unfortunately had to travel to a funeral and I had to travel quite a far way. Our very own Dr. J hosted me for an evening. And one of the things I had a chance to try, thanks to him, was this game, Numsters. As you say, nom nom. Numsters are hungry. Let me tell you, this game, and it's only one play. It's only one play, but Button Shy has now produced two games that I can very well say I want to carry with me at all times and are probably top 10 solo games for me. Now, it's one play, so I'm not going to go that far on this one yet, but the potential is there. I mean, I've got to play once or twice. So with Numsters, it's got this really neat component that whatever is on the top is the action, but depending on where that 8, which you see the different color on, is, the cards around it are where these actions are taking place. You need to get it so you get down to 2 cards, but that 8's not on top. This is not easy. I just want to tell you, but it is a ton of fun, and it didn't feel stressful. Like it was just enjoyable. It went really quickly. The monsters in this, like a double-digit monster, I think that's what a single-digit monster is going to eat an odd Numster. That's so as an example, then if you had them in between, you'd be able to have those actions. And you can see it there. Sequential number is going to eat a smaller number. So the monsters are eating each other in this game, and you are going to be eliminating cards from the hand every single turn. It is a game that, again, was on that list. It was on Danielle's top 20. And I understand why this was on her top 20, because as a game, again, simplicity is there. The art, which is by artist Luke Flowers, according to BGG here, it draws you in. It's great. Looks good. But the gameplay, simple. Gameplay is so quick. And I wanted to play again. And anytime a game wants me to play, I want to play that again with a game that is that quick and not just move on and, go to another one, yeah, that's a win for me. But it's also, a small 18 card game because it's Button Shy. So Button Shy has some winners. This is going to be up there amongst my favorite Button Shy games as of this time.
They have many winners. I can't believe how many games are in their catalog now. It is quite insane.
Yeah.
Now I'm assuming the other one you're talking about that you're going to carry everywhere is a Nice Cuppa.
Nice Cuppa. Yeah, I
Yeah.
love a Nice Cuppa.
Okay.
A
I
Nice
borrowed it.
Cuppa-
Haven't played it yet. But we're working on it, folks. Try to get through these lists of things that we said we gotta try.
Well, you have the copy of it now, though, so
I know.
you're
I do.
able
It
to
is
play
right,
it. So
over there.
you'll be able to play it now. So that's the good thing there. Ryan, by the way, still cannot find his copy of Numbsters. So I beat Ryan to playing Numbsters, even though he owns a copy.
Oh, he legit. That's not a joke. He has it and doesn't know where it is.
Yes, he still doesn't know where it is.
Ay.
He put it away somewhere and does not know where it is. But no, Numbsters, Button Shy, keep doing it. We owe Button Shy a trip. I mean, they're South Jersey, so it's not like it's a quick trip, but we really owe a trip down to Button Shy. Ryan saying he left it in a coat pocket and it's not there. So
the one downside to the wallet size games, right?
Yes,
they can
well,
easily get lost. You're not going to lose.
When you talk about a nice
big
cuppa,
box
by the
like that.
way, I just want to point this out. There's more stuff that I don't have to a nice cuppa. But I just want to talk about the fact that like this same game here, a nice cuppa, I didn't know where it was for the longest time either for the exact same reason. And then I'm pretty sure it was just at Ryan's house. But it was one of these things where I didn't know where it was. So like I have to put them in a very specific backpack that I use for everything because I don't want to. But then I have a spot in the house now where all the Button Shy games go. I have seen a Button Shy game holder before.
Oh, yeah.
And no, you didn't. Ryan saying he didn't lose a nice cup, but no, he didn't. I just didn't know where it was, and it was with Ryan.
I remember that. I remember.
I was like, where is this thing? But yeah, a nice cuppa definitely on my list. I know you will play it. But what else did you play? Is the bigger question.
Well, believe it or not, the game that I have played the most in these last 30-ish days is a solo experience, although it's not solo only, but I've only played it solo, and I've only played it on BGA. And this is called Daedalus. I think I'm pronouncing that right.
Oh yeah, you spell that one for me.
Deedale.
Deedele. Hold on. Say it again.
Da.
Oh, DA.
No, Deda.
Yeah. LE.
Yeah.
Yep. I saw this on BGA. That's why. Here it is.
This is, I guess, short for Daedalus, or another way to say that name, who is a prominent architect in, during Greek times, and Greek features in a lot of Greek mythology. Daedalus and Icarus, and Daedalus is the one who basically built the labyrinth to house the Minotaur or Minotaur, depending on how you pronounce it. And so that's what this game is basically all about. It is just a deck of cards that have 6 squares of one of 4 colors and some walls around them. And the way the game works is you start with that center card that has the monster in the middle and one of each color square in the 4 corners of the card. And so on your turn, and again, I've only played the solo, there will be a choice of 2 cards that you can play. And then the deck, the back of the cards, I think it's the back of the card. Again, I've only played in BGA, so I don't know how it looks physically, but there will be a color that you have to cover with the card that you choose to play. Right? So you'll choose a card and say it's got to cover blue. You have to somehow overlap it on blue. Other than that, there's not really a lot of rules in terms of placement here. Colors don't have to match up adjacency. Walls don't have to match up anywhere in particular. As long as you cover one of those colors, you're good to go. Even if it's like an exact match, like completely cover another card. The exception to that rule is there are 2 cards that have 2 faces on them. And one of them is Theseus, who is the hero eventually who slays the Minotaur. And I believe the other one is Ariadne, who helped him, if I'm remembering my mythology correctly. Those cards are important because they let you break that covering rule. So regardless of what the color is that you need to cover, if you have one of those 2 cards, you can overlay them on anything. So you win depending on what the like challenges. There's 10 levels to the game overall, and they get, exponentially a little bit harder.
Yep.
But I think the very basic one is to just enclose him, completely by walls. So in this picture here, there would be, it looks like he's all the way closed in. It's hard to tell with the background, but there cannot be any openings for him to get out. And then there might be another level where the challenge is, okay, now you have to get him enclosed with 5 torches or whatever.
Oh yeah, I see. Because there's a lot more different type of.
Yeah, the cards are not all the same, obviously in terms of the colors, but also in terms of how many of those sides are covered with wall, as well as different. So you can drastically change the the layout and the accessibility of the Minotaur depending on where you put these cards. And so yeah, I've just kind of been obsessed with this one because we're trying to get through all the challenges. I'm on number 9 out of 10, and it is not easy. I'm trying to currently get a room that has 2 zones of 10 of each of 2 different colors without any torches or pillars in it.
Oh boy.
It's quite maddening, yeah.
Oh boy.
But it has provided me with a lot of joy and thinkiness of this puzzle for sure. And I'm just, I don't know, like you said last time we did this, I forget what the game was that you were talking about on BGA, but sometimes stuff just pops up there. You're like, oh, let me see what this is about. The Greek thing, the mythology thing drew me in. I love Greek mythology, so that's just gonna automatically make me look at something for a little bit longer than I initially would have. And then once I started playing, did the tutorial, I was like, oh, okay. No clue how it says it plays up to 4. I don't know how I would feel about playing this not solo now that I've only played it solo.
Well, I'll have to tell you, I have a co-op game set up of this, and
okay.
I will be. I had previously said I have not done a play in it yet because I wanted to read the rules. So you've given me a nice start on that. You did make me think about one that I wasn't sure if I was going to talk about it or not, but now I kind of want to talk about it, so I'm going to. And that's Igor. Hold on, here we are. Hold on, it might not be hold on.
Igor?
Okay. Yeah, hold on. Let me make sure I got the right one. Is it Icar or is it Iliad? I just want to be sure I got the right one here.
If it's mythology, it's probably Iliad.
No, but it was Icar too.
No.
But it would remind me because of Iliad. It was Icar. So in this particular game, this is a game I had a chance to play. I had a chance to play this one with Marcel. This is one of those ones. This had arrived. I backed this one. And what's really cool about this one is you are trying to essentially make sure these are your tokens that you have on the board. Not all of them on the board, but you want to ultimately have more than your opponent over the course of 2 games. In terms of at the end of each game, you want to have more on the board than your opponent. You want to have that greater difference. The way it's going to happen, however, and I'm hoping that they have some good visuals here of this, kind of gives you a good idea. That's the actual board. It's that cloth sheet. You have the way the characters are going to be able to move in front of you. And then each of those characters, so you see like Hercules, you see Aphrodite, you see Zeus, they all move. So again, I was thinking of the gods. when you started talking about that other stuff. And they've got what they move that's on their pieces themselves, but then you can flip them over for their power, which are incredibly useful one-off powers. And Marcelo's right. You got to watch what your opponent is doing, because you could easily get beaten really badly if you are not paying attention. It is not a game that you can like get distracted from, because if you do, your opponent can easily take advantage of that. Because ultimately you are taking actions, moving, jumping around the board, and based on the movements you make, you are leaving those chips essentially on the board. And those are incredibly impactful to the game, because ultimately at a certain point, you're going to count those up and you're going to say, okay, cool. I have the greater amount. I've got this one. And then you're going to go play as the opposite side. So it's intended to be a game that plays in 30 to 40 minutes, but you're going to play as both sides. And ultimately there are additional characters, which we did not play with. But there are additional characters, extra characters that came with the expansion that I think I got the expansion, or it just came with the box because it's Kickstarter. I don't remember which it was, to be honest, because it had been so long since this had been ordered. But really neat experience. I really enjoyed this one. This one is a game from Bitewing Games, who I tend to like a lot of their stuff. And one of the reasons this happened was you might recognize this name here. I think we've seen this guy before. He's done a few games, right? So that was a big reason this game got backed, and I very much enjoyed it. I'm intrigued what everyone's favorite game by Mr. Knizia is, because my goodness, look at this list of fantasticness. You know what I mean? Like, oh my gosh. And there's games on this list I still want to play. I still need to play Rebirth. I need to play Cascadero. It's easy to forget that he designed Mlem.
Yeah.
Like, out of all the games, you think, oh, Mlem. Yeah, but there it is. So, yeah, really great stuff. And that's why that's why this was picked. And ultimately I was very excited. So highly recommend, if you have a chance to try this one, play it. Like, this is pretty accurate, the 40 minutes, because you are going to play both sides.
Yeah.
And
that's cool.
you're going to want to play both sides, because if you were losing after the first one, there is a challenge that, okay, I know I have to do enough to get a little bit more than X amount this round to be able to get my win. So that's that when you're playing from behind, you have a very distinct goal. And then the person who did one in the first round, so to speak, knows that they might want to end the game in that sense. But yeah, it's definitely a really interesting game, and it is part of the Mythos collection, which is a line of 2-player titles by Bitewing in terms of strategy and mythology. So
okay,
if that interests you,
yes,
there's more in that series, and that is why I mentioned Iliad, which I did not play. But if you look at it, just so you know, I have a copy of this game as well, which same type of board, and that's a little bit of what it looks like. So if you're intrigued in that one, I own it, and yeah, we're back in mythology as well. So
nice.
Yeah, pretty neat stuff. And again, when it comes down to it, this one, he's back, right? So we gotta play those games by him, at least try them once, is my view. So wanted to share those again, because those came in and I really liked them quite a bit.
Excellent choice.
But I would say one more for you, and then what I'd love to do, Anthony, is kind of tell everybody a little bit about some of the trilogy of games that we have now. Technically more than 3, but we have played 3 out of a series.
Well, yeah, that was good. That was going to be my.
If we want, why don't we talk about that? So talk about the one that was new to you. Which one you want to talk about, and let's maybe go through. And I will bring it up on the board here.
Yeah. So at our Traveling Boards pop-up board game cafe event this past weekend, despite our extensive library of games, sometimes folks bring their own games, and that was the case for one of our attendees. And I'm glad that he brought this game because I had never played it before, but it was a little intrigued by it when it first came out, and that's Forbidden Sky. So this is obviously part of the Forbidden series, which a lot of folks know. Forbidden Island being the initial one from Matt Leacock, also Pandemic style thing. And it's a cooperative game. You're trying to get off the island, and then there's the desert one, which we'll talk about. Anyway, this is the third one, Forbidden Sky. This is, in my opinion, this was a bigger jump in terms of mechanics and theme alike from desert to this one, as opposed to Forbidden Island to Forbidden Desert, right?
Yeah.
So this one's got this like sky theme where you're kind of in the clouds, and so instead of having just straight up like health, you have a health meter, but you also have this like rope meter, and if either one of them gets down to the bottom on one player, everybody loses. So it's definitely not easy. But essentially, you're trying to not like locate things per se the way you are in the other games. You're trying to complete this circuit to really power up your rocket ship to get off the sky planet, I guess. And it's got actual working conductors that light up and make sounds if you happen to be so lucky as to win, which unfortunately we did not, despite the fact that we played 3 times. 3 times. We got really close once, but we did not succeed.
Well, and the way it's described on BGG is soar to dizzying heights in the electrifying cooperative adventure. So they hype it up quite there. It's a high act that will test your team's capacity for courage and cooperation. One false step and you could all be grounded permanently. And yeah, the concept is just that. It is that we have, because if you look at the upper right on this image here, that's what we need to all get. We have to get those.
Yeah, so that's one of the biggest differences in terms of the win conditions of this version is, there's different levels to do it on. We did it on the novice version, but you can kind of ramp up the difficulty if you want. But it's basically the blueprint outlines what you need to build and connect in order to win. And so that that beginner one is the launch pad, which is the biggest circle, and then there's these like large conductors, smaller conductors, and then some lightning rods and wires and things like that. So when you're placing those tiles out, you really want to look at what the shapes are, because they don't have to match up perfectly, but you're only going to get so many chances to complete some of those features. So you got to kind of be smart with how you explore.
One of the rules, one of the things in the rule book actually says you should look at the tiles before you start.
Yeah.
So they have that in mind. So I would guess, and again, we did not play on the hardest difficulty, but I'm guessing if you play this on the highest difficulty, you have limited chances, meaning you're going to want to play with that in mind a lot more intently than at novice or normal.
Yeah.
Just my guess.
Yeah. But, it was fun. I enjoyed it. It was definitely a different theme, obviously. But they did a good job of keeping the spirit of the other 2 games alive in terms of, the cooperative nature, and everybody had sort of a special ability that they could do that was a little bit different. The bad stuff that happens in this one is kind of neat. It's like high winds basically come in again because you're up in the clouds. So there's this part of the starting board where you build off of that has this like compass kind of dial, and that'll show you which direction the wind is moving.
You could see that right here in the middle too.
Yeah, it's in the center. Yeah.
So right here.
Almost looks like the helicopter from the from one of the other games.
I think that's what it is. I think that's the connection they've made is landed here, because that is that thing that's there is the thing that you took off from Forbidden Desert in.
Oh, the airship thing. Okay, that makes sense.
Look at that, that's the airship thing.
So yeah, if you're on a spot and the wind card comes out, it's going to blow in the direction of wherever the compass is, and so it's going to move your piece to a new spot, or you're going to, if you're already like, if you can't move off, you're going to lose some of your rope, some of your slack on your rope, which is going to be bad as
See,
well.
there it
Yeah,
is.
so there's the machine. Yeah.
So
All
they've
right, so that
connected
was
the dots.
that was the new one for me, Forbidden Sky.
Now we should point out, yeah. Man, what rotten luck these people have trying to divert disasters.
Yeah, seriously,
So
it is a series of unfortunate events.
if we go through this, by the way, you've got Forbidden Island was the first one. So if we look at Forbidden Island, is Forbidden Island how they got to the desert? I guess. I mean, they've got what's the big because they got the helicopter, right? And then this helicopter, right, crashes in Forbidden Desert. Then Forbidden Desert, you leave in that, and then you land in whatever this space place or
Cloud
high in
City,
the air.
baby.
And then Forbidden Jungle, which is the only one you and I have both not played.
At
Right?
this point, yes, that's correct.
So Forbidden Jungle, is there is that rocket somewhere? That's what I'm trying to find out.
Yeah, right.
I don't know. I'm guessing that rocket is somewhere. Oh, there it is. There's that rocket.
Oh man, you're right. That's cool.
So these same people are running into a crap load of bad luck. No. You crash. No. You don't crash
No.
the helicopter. No, you crash that. You leave in the helicopter from Forbidden Island. Then you take off. You find and build. You build a space. You build like a flying machine in the desert.
Yeah, but aren't you rebuilding that thing? Isn't that what crashed?
Yeah, but you rebuild it into a brand new type of thing.
Oh, a different type of machine. Oh.
Yes. And then when you crash, I guess in this, I'm guessing when you crash, I guess we're going through the lore of what Forbidden is at this point. When you crash in that high altitude place or whatever, you ultimately just decide to take a brand new thing at this point because it happens to be up there and you're just trying to power it. Like you found the plans for it. And then, yeah, you landed in this jungle. And I don't know what happens in this jungle. So
well, I mean, it looks like it's more of a callback to the original, right?
Logic is forbidden, according to Marcel. Yes, in Forbidden Jungle, your team has crash landed on a mysterious jungle planet, and you need to work together to survive. So you're kind of right back where you started. Search the ruins for abandoned outposts for an inclusive escape portal, all while fending off an ever-growing horde of venomous creatures and an escalating chain of collapsing locations.
Okay.
So
listen, I would try it. I mean, I enjoy all of them. I feel like Forbidden Sky didn't get a lot of love for whatever reason.
From what we were understanding too, when we were talking last.
I mean, it is fiddly, I will say, like physically, because so you're putting the tiles together, and then if you construct one of those conductors, this little disc, you put it on there. But then if you try to wire it to something else, it has to kind of rest there. And then if you wire something else from that spot, now you've got, two kind of competing edges on there. So, it was a little fiddly, but it was fine.
It's fiddly, and I'm intrigued. In terms of comments, had to complete the Fringe trilogy. It's still rapturing. No, that doesn't. Played it once, and it was a struggle. Sold. The magnets are a cool idea, but very poor implementation. They're too finicky to actually use. Plus, the small capacitors are way too small. Gameplay is okay, but very unforgiving in our playthrough. And that's accurate. Unforgiving is a good way to describe the experience we can talk about.
And to the point about the thing like working, like I envisioned, again, we didn't win. We played 3 times, but I could see a situation happening where you finish and it just doesn't turn on or whatever because it fell off of the one thing, and it could be very anticlimactic, I think. Now, that being said, all three of the games have a little bit of fiddliness to them, which is
It's fair.
totally not a
Yeah.
word. In Forbidden Island, you're flipping over the tiles, which whatever. It's could be tough. Depends on how close they are together. But in Forbidden Desert, that gets kind of fiddly too because you're moving tiles around and then stacking sand on top of them. So it can get kind of hectic. But I played all three games that night.
Yeah. I didn't do Island, but I've played Island before.
Yeah.
I guess I'm intrigued how we rank them and how we feel about them. I'm going to say this right now. One thing is very clear to me. My favorite of the three at this point stands up still. It's still Desert.
Okay.
Desert has has a nice balance to me. It is difficult, but I still find it. I continue to find it enjoyable. The sand can be frustrating as heck, but I still feel like I'm in that one down to the end.
Yeah.
I never felt like we were very in it in Forbidden Sky. And I wanted to feel like it was winnable. I didn't want to, like, even though I like challenging games as a whole, and I like games that maybe are really critically difficult to win, a Robinson Crusoe included, there still needs to be some chance of hope. I didn't feel much hope in Sky nearly as much as I feel like I did in Desert, even when stuff didn't look good. But I always felt like, man, there's a way, because we almost won in Desert, and then the problem was it was just one last pile went up, I got taken out because I ran out of thirst, right?
Yeah, it was
but
too hot.
we were right there, right? Like we were gonna get it done nearly, and then just get to our ship, but no, just a little bit of just at the end, couldn't quite finish it.
So Desert's your favorite, and then what would you go second?
The thing is, Desert's my favorite. I don't go back to Island because I like Desert so much, so at least Sky is different in that sense. But I would rather, I think in the end, I would probably play Desert 80% of the time. 80% of the time. If you put it between the three. I kind of wanted to play as hard as it was. All the things I said, I still kind of want to go back and try to beat the Sky because it was different.
That's why it's kind of top of my mind too, because I know that the victory is there somewhere.
There's and I know it's not Clank. There's no deck building. There's none of this happening, right? But like putting down the little tiles, figuring out where we're gonna go, like they were like almost that Clank's size too. Like but I don't know. That's the reason I don't have a desire to go back to Island after Desert. So it's hard for me to say that I would put Island over Sky just because both Island and Desert place too similar to me. So in the end, I probably have to put Sky second. But I put Desert significantly ahead of both.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. I think I get what you're saying about Desert and Island, but I guess for me, just Island just sticks out as the more. It's definitely the one I've played more, and the one that I'll introduce to most people first. So I guess that's probably why it gets a little bit of an edge for me.
Yeah.
But same, I Forbidden Sky is fresh in my head, and I hope Leo brings it to the next event because I want another crack at it for
I know.
sure.
And I want to play Jungle. And like I said, I'm very intrigued by Jungle because I'm wondering if Jungle coming back to its core, right? Coming back to that core.
It certainly looks that way from the pictures, but you never know.
What if they've come back to the core and evolved a little bit? That's exciting to me. That
Yeah.
that to me leaves something to look forward to. So, yeah, so that was kind of again a little bit more of an impromptu thing that we figured we should talk more about this because we've played a bunch of these now. So, and again, all these games are designed by Matt Leacock, if I'm not mistaken. I don't think anyone else was involved in the design. If I've missed anyone, I apologize on that. But the Forbidden series, if you have thoughts on the Forbidden series and you've got a favorite, I will note in terms of Forbidden Sky, the one thing that, of course, we noted was that it was one that I believe I thought was out of print, but it still seems like on BGG or a place like that, it out of print doesn't mean unavailable.
Well, sure. Yeah.
Because it was not necessarily a beloved game. So if you want a copy of something like this, it looks like it's pretty easy to get a hold of still at this point. But ultimately, yeah, I play Desert. That sand piece is frustrating, but it's fun to watch the sand fill up the board.
Well, it's fun when you have the Sand Blaster. You can just be like,
Oh, the Sand Blaster is great. I will say I enjoy the fact that you could lose by just everything is covered in sand.
yeah.
Which is stellar. But yeah, so folks, the month ahead, we're still working through some of the stuff that's coming, whether they be playthroughs, whether they be what topics for our next call board. So stay tuned. If you are not a part of the Discord, please go ahead, join the Discord and learn more. Our end of the month show is always about, and I apologize, by the way, because I'm going to take, I had put this up and somehow it got removed because we realized that today when it was a half hour before and nothing was showing. So normally I would have promoted a lot more in advance, but maybe I never put it up. I don't know because I was so excited after the last topic. But that said, we will be back with another hot topic in the middle of the month, topic to be determined. And then end of the month,
But it will be hot.
Yeah. But end of the month call board will always be about what you played in the past month. So think about that as you play those games in June. And Anthony, I know you're in the process of putting together a creators corner as well. So I know hopefully.
Yes. Hopefully that'll be in a couple of weeks. Just trying to confirm that. And hopefully that'll be added to the docket soon.
Awesome. So stay tuned for potentially a creators corner, maybe a playthrough or two, and then as well as whatever the next call board topic, which we will announce. We'll try to announce that in the next week or so you know what's coming up in 2 weeks and you can prep to call in and be part of call board for that. But with that, I want to thank everyone for watching. If you do like the idea of a live call-in show to talk about board games, perfect chance to subscribe because we do it at least twice a month. And on that, I will say thank you for watching. I am Chris. That's Anthony. Ryan is in the chat. He's with us here in the chat. So he's here. He's not visually with us, but you could see him in 2 weeks, hopefully, for whatever that topic that we finalize will be. And that has been Call Board. This has been the Tabletop Express, and we will see you next week. Have a good night, everybody.